What if the tiny chewable tablet you pop before your workout held the key to unlocking unheard-of strength, a secret whispered down through generations of alchemists? What if it contained the essence of mythical beasts, granting power beyond mortal comprehension? Tonight, we won't be chasing those fantastical origins. Instead, we will find our peace in the slow, methodical process of creating chewable creatine products. From the precise measuring of ingredients to the rhythmic churning of the machines that press them into their familiar form, we'll explore the mundane magic of manufacturing, the satisfyingly ordinary steps that bring these little powerhouses to life. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to Snooze Stories for more calming content. Now dim the lights. Imagine a pristine factory floor, gleaming stainless steel reflecting the bright overhead lights. The air hums with a low, steady thrum, the heartbeat of the machines that will transform raw powders into the perfectly formed, chewable creatine tablets you hold in your hand. Join Snooze Stories as we journey through each step of this fascinating, surprisingly soothing process. But before we explore the gleaming modernity of the creatine factory, we must journey back, far back, to a time long before the precise measurements and rhythmic machinery. A time when athletes sought an edge, not in carefully formulated tablets, but in the whispers of nature, in the roots and leaves and berries of the earth. Close your eyes and imagine the world before creatine, a world bathed in the warm glow of ancient sunlight. Our journey begins in the sun-baked lands of ancient Greece, where the Olympic Games were not merely a competition, but a sacred ritual. Imagine the hushed reverence of the stadium at Olympia, the dust rising under the sandals of the athletes. These were not casual competitors, they were dedicants, pushing their bodies to honor the gods. Their training was rigorous, demanding a discipline of both body and mind, but even then the desire for an edge, for enhanced performance existed. Picture the meticulous preparation of special diets. Figs, plump and sweet, were consumed for their supposed energy-boosting properties. Imagine the athletes slowly chewing on dates, their sticky sweetness a source of quick fuel. Here the gentle grinding of barley, the coarse grains transformed into a nourishing paste believed to enhance stamina. These ancient rituals, these slow, deliberate acts of preparation, were their own form of performance enhancement. Travel with me now across the Aegean Sea to the land of the pharaohs. The pyramids rise against the desert sky, monuments to human ingenuity and sheer physical strength. Imagine the thousands of laborers toiling under the scorching sun. Their sustenance? Onions. Not just a common vegetable, but a revered source of strength. Imagine the pungent aroma of sliced onions, their sharp bite a familiar sensation to these builders of empire. Picture the careful preparation of onion-rich meals, the slow simmering of stews meant to fortify the body and fuel their monumental task. Further east, in ancient China, a different kind of strength was cultivated. The flowing movements of martial arts required not just brute force, but agility, balance, and focus. Imagine the serene gardens where these disciplines were practiced, the rustling of leaves accompanying the rhythmic breathing of the practitioners. Ginseng, a gnarled root prized for its medicinal properties, was a staple for these warriors. Picture the delicate process of preparing ginseng, the slow, careful slicing of the precious root, the gentle simmering in purified water, releasing its earthy aroma and potent essence. This slow, methodical process was a meditation in itself, preparing the body and mind for the demands of martial arts. We journey now to the Americas, to the lands of the Inca. High in the Andes Mountains, where the air is thin and the terrain unforgiving, the Inca developed remarkable endurance. Their secret? Coca leaves. Not the refined product of later centuries, but the raw leaves, chewed slowly to release their stimulating properties. Imagine the slightly bitter taste of the coca leaves, their numbing effect easing the strain of high-altitude exertion. Picture the Inca runners, traversing vast distances through mountainous terrain, sustained by the slow release of energy from the leaves they meticulously chewed. These were the precursors to creatine, these natural remedies and dietary strategies. They were not magic potions granting superhuman strength, but rather carefully chosen elements of the natural world, believed to offer an advantage. Their preparation, often slow and deliberate, was a ritual, a way of focusing the mind and preparing the body. The grinding of barley, the simmering of ginseng, the chewing of coca leaves, these were not merely acts of consumption, but acts of intention, of striving for something more. Focus on these images, on the slow, methodical processes, the earthy aromas, the textures and tastes of these ancient remedies. Let your mind settle into the rhythm of these ancient preparations, the gentle grinding, the slow simmering, the deliberate chewing. Breathe deeply and let the weight of centuries settle upon you, easing you into a state of deep relaxation. Breathe deeply and let the weight of centuries settle upon you, easing you into a state of deep relaxation. And now we step out of the sun-drenched world of ancient remedies and into the dimly lit laboratories of the 19th century. The air here is thick with the scent of chemicals, not the earthy aroma of ginseng or coca leaves, but the sharp tang of acids and alkalis. Imagine the flickering gaslight illuminating dusty shelves lined with glass bottles, each containing a carefully labeled substance. Hear the clinking of beakers and test tubes, the soft scratch of quill pens on parchment recording meticulous observations. Our journey takes us to France, to the laboratory of Michel Eugène Chevreul, a pioneering chemist. Picture him, a figure of quiet intensity bent over his workbench, his brow furrowed in concentration. The year is 1812. Chevreul is examining a reddish-brown substance extracted from skeletal muscle tissue. He notes its unique properties, its crystalline structure, its solubility in water. He meticulously documents his findings, meticulously describing the painstaking process of isolating and purifying the compound. Imagine the slow, deliberate movements of his hands as he carefully filters the solution, the gentle swirling of the liquid in the glass beaker, the gradual accumulation of the crystalline substance. Chevreul names this newfound substance creatine, derived from the Greek word for flesh, kriesque. This, my friends, is the first scientific identification of creatine. However, the full understanding of creatine's role would remain elusive for decades. Imagine the scientific community, a network of correspondence, of shared research papers, of lively debates in dimly lit lecture halls. The whispers of discovery slowly spread, sparking curiosity and further investigation. Close your eyes and picture the pages of scientific journals, filled with dense text and intricate diagrams detailing the chemical composition of creatine. Fast forward to 1832. In Germany, Justus von Liebig, another giant of 19th century chemistry, further refines the understanding of creatine. Imagine Liebig in his laboratory, surrounded by bubbling flasks and retorts, meticulously analyzing muscle tissue from various animal species. He confirms Chevreul's findings and expands upon them, noting the relatively high concentration of creatine in skeletal muscle. Imagine the slow, repetitive process of chemical analysis, the careful weighing of samples, the precise measurements of reagents. Liebig, with his rigorous scientific approach, meticulously documents his experiments, adding another layer to the growing body of knowledge surrounding this mysterious substance. He observes that animals with more active lifestyles, such as foxes, possess higher levels of creatine in their muscles compared to more sedentary creatures. This observation, a subtle clue, hints at a potential connection between creatine and muscle function. Let the weight of this scientific rigor settle upon you, the meticulousness, the precision, the slow, deliberate pace of discovery. The whispers of creatine's potential role in muscle physiology grow louder. The scientific community buzzes with speculation. In 1847, further investigation comes from Wilhelm Ludwig, a German physiologist. Visualize Ludwig's laboratory, a place of intricate apparatus and carefully controlled experiments. He develops a method to isolate and perfuse living frog muscles, allowing him to study their function in a controlled environment. Imagine the delicate glass tubing, the slow drip of the perfusion fluid, the precise measurements of muscle contractions. This innovative technique allows Ludwig to observe the effects of various substances on muscle performance. He notes that the addition of creatine to the perfusion fluid seems to enhance the contractile force of the frog muscles. This observation, A small flicker of understanding strengthens the link between creatine and muscle function. Focus on the image of the slowly contracting frog muscle, the rhythmic pulsations, a subtle but significant indication of creatine's potential. The pieces of the puzzle are slowly beginning to fall into place. The chemical composition is known, the presence in muscle tissue is confirmed, and a potential link to muscle function is emerging. But the complete picture, the intricate mechanism by which creatine exerts its effects, remains shrouded in mystery. The scientific quest continues, driven by curiosity, by the desire to understand the complex machinery of the human body. Imagine the scientific discussions of the time, the lively debates, the challenging of assumptions, the slow, gradual refinement of understanding. Feel the weight of this collective intellectual effort, the meticulous research, the slow but steady progress towards enlightenment. Let the slow, deliberate pace of scientific discovery lull you into a deeper state of relaxation. The gaslights flicker, casting long shadows in the laboratories. The clinking of glassware, the scratching of pens, the quiet murmur of scientific discourse. These are the sounds of discovery, the sounds of progress, the sounds of understanding slowly unfolding. The quiet murmur of scientific discourse, the sounds of understanding slowly unfolding. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw a slow but steady accumulation of knowledge regarding creatine. Imagine researchers poring over scientific journals, the rustle of turning pages, the soft glow of lamplight illuminating complex chemical formulas. Scientists begin to unravel the metabolic pathways involving creatine, meticulously tracing the steps involved in its synthesis and breakdown. Visualize complex diagrams, meticulously drawn by hand, illustrating the intricate interplay of molecules within the body. The year is 1912. Almost a century after Chevreul's initial discovery, researchers demonstrate that creatine supplementation can increase the creatine content of muscle tissue. Imagine the laboratory, a place of precise measurements and controlled experiments. Picture researchers carefully administering creatine to animal subjects, meticulously monitoring their physiological responses. The results, though preliminary, offer tantalizing hints of creatine's potential to enhance muscle function. The whispers of possibility grow louder, sparking further interest in the scientific community. The decades that followed saw a gradual refinement of these early findings. Imagine the slow, deliberate pace of research, the careful repetition of experiments, the meticulous analysis of data. Scientists begin to explore the effects of creatine supplementation on human performance, conducting small-scale studies with athletes. Picture athletes undergoing rigorous training regimens, their bodies pushed to the limits of endurance, their performance carefully monitored and documented. The results, though often anecdotal, suggest that creatine supplementation may offer a competitive edge. The 1920s brought about the first attempts to produce creatine supplements in a consumable form. Imagine early formulations, crude powders with a chalky texture and a slightly bitter taste. Picture small tins and bottles carefully labeled with handwritten instructions for use. These early supplements were far from perfect, often containing impurities and lacking standardized dosages, yet they represented a significant step forward, marking the transition from scientific curiosity to practical application. The manufacturing process was slow and laborious. Imagine chemists in their laboratories, carefully mixing ingredients, painstakingly purifying the resulting compound, the slow, rhythmic grinding of the creatine crystals into a fine powder. The production was limited and the cost was high, making these early creatine supplements accessible only to a select few. The mid-20th century witnessed a surge in interest in sports science and athletic performance. Imagine the growing popularity of competitive sports, the increasing emphasis on physical fitness, the desire to push the boundaries of human potential. This burgeoning interest fueled further research into creatine and its potential benefits for athletes. Picture researchers meticulously studying the effects of creatine supplementation on muscle strength, power, and endurance. The results, though still preliminary, begin to solidify creatine's reputation as a performance enhancer. The 1970s and 80s saw significant improvements in the manufacturing of creatine supplements. Imagine advancements in chemical synthesis and purification techniques, leading to the development of purer and more potent creatine powders. Picture large-scale production facilities with gleaming stainless steel vats and automated machinery, capable of producing high-quality creatine supplements in large quantities. The cost of creatine supplements begins to decline, making them more accessible to a wider range of athletes. The rise of creatine use among athletes was gradual, initially driven by word of mouth and anecdotal evidence. Imagine athletes sharing their experiences with creatine supplementation, whispering stories of increased strength and improved performance. Picture training gyms, filled with the clang of weights and the grunts of exertion, where creatine became a topic of hushed conversation. The early adopters, often elite athletes pushing the boundaries of human performance, paved the way for wider acceptance of creatine supplementation. Scientific research continued alongside the growing popularity of creatine among athletes. Imagine researchers conducting more rigorous studies, using sophisticated equipment and advanced statistical methods to analyze the effects of creatine supplementation. Picture peer-reviewed scientific journals filled with dense text and complex graphs detailing the results of these studies. The evidence, though still accumulating, begins to paint a clearer picture of creatine's benefits and mechanisms of action. The slow, steady drip of scientific discovery, combined with the anecdotal evidence from athletes, fueled the growing momentum of creatine supplementation. Imagine the expanding market for creatine products, the increasing availability of creatine powders in health food stores and athletic supply shops. Picture colorful labels and bold claims promising enhanced performance and increased muscle mass. The era of powdered creatine had arrived, setting the stage for further innovation and the eventual development of more convenient forms of creatine supplementation. Let this slow, methodical evolution of creatine supplementation lull you into a deeper sense of relaxation. The clinking of beakers, the whirring of machinery, the hushed conversations in gyms. These are the sounds of progress, the sounds of scientific discovery, slowly shaping the future of athletic performance. The era of powdered creatine, while a significant advancement, presented its own set of challenges. Imagine the fine, white powder prone to clumping and sticking to the sides of containers. Picture athletes struggling to measure precise dosages, the powder billowing into the air with each scoop, creating a small white cloud. The taste, though less pronounced than earlier formulations, was still a barrier for some. The gritty texture lingered on the tongue, a constant reminder of the supplement's presence. The desire for a more convenient and palatable form of creatine supplementation spurred further innovation. The late 1980s and early 1990s saw the emergence of creatine capsules. Imagine the slow, meticulous process of encapsulating the creatine powder, carefully filling small, gelatinous shells with precise amounts of the supplement. Picture the rhythmic whirring of encapsulation machines, tirelessly filling capsule after capsule, creating a uniform and convenient dosage form. The capsules, smooth and easy to swallow, eliminated the mess and inconvenience of powdered creatine. Imagine the satisfying click of the pill bottle, the cool, smooth feel of the capsules against the palm, the ease with which they could be swallowed with a sip of water. No more gritty texture, no more lingering aftertaste. The development of creatine capsules was a gradual process involving numerous small refinements and improvements. Imagine researchers experimenting with different capsule sizes and materials, carefully evaluating their effectiveness and stability. Picture the slow, deliberate testing of different capsule coatings, searching for the optimal balance of protection and digestibility. The early creatine capsules, while a significant improvement over powders, were not without their drawbacks. Imagine the limitations of early encapsulation technology, the occasional inconsistencies in dosage, the susceptibility of some capsules to moisture and heat. Yet each iteration, each small adjustment, brought us closer to the convenient and reliable creatine capsules we know today. Concurrent with the development of capsules, researchers also explored liquid forms of creatine. Imagine the challenge of dissolving creatine, a relatively insoluble compound, into a stable and palatable liquid solution. Picture chemists meticulously experimenting with different solvents and additives, carefully measuring pH levels and solubility curves. The early liquid creatine formulations were often unstable, prone to precipitation and degradation. Imagine the frustration, of researchers as they observed the creatine settling out of solution, forming a layer of sediment at the bottom of the container. The taste, too, was a challenge. Imagine the early liquid creatine formulations, often with a bitter or metallic tang, a far cry from the palatable sports drinks of today. The development of liquid creatine was a slow and iterative process, marked by numerous setbacks and breakthroughs. Imagine researchers patiently tweaking formulations, adjusting the concentrations of ingredients, experimenting with different flavoring agents. Picture the slow, deliberate process of testing and refinement, each small adjustment bringing us closer to a stable, palatable, and effective liquid creatine supplement. The challenges were numerous, but the potential benefits, increased convenience and improved absorption, fueled the continued research and development. Imagine the laboratories, filled with the gentle hum of equipment, the clinking of glassware, the soft murmur of researchers discussing their findings. Picture the meticulous record-keeping, the careful analysis of data, the slow, steady accumulation of knowledge. The development of creatine capsules and liquids was not a dramatic breakthrough, but rather a series of incremental improvements, each building upon the previous one. The gradual refinement of these alternative delivery methods mirrored the slow, steady progress of creatine research as a whole. From its initial discovery in the 19th century to its widespread use by athletes in the late 20th century, the story of creatine is one of persistent inquiry and gradual refinement. Imagine the long arc of scientific discovery, the slow accumulation of knowledge, the steady march of progress. The development of creatine capsules and liquids was a significant step forward, making creatine supplementation more convenient and accessible to a wider range of athletes. Imagine the growing popularity of these new forms of creatine, the increasing availability of capsules and liquids in health food stores and athletic supply shops. Picture athletes embracing the convenience of these new delivery methods, no longer struggling with messy powders or unpleasant tastes. The search for more convenient forms of creatine supplementation was driven by the desire to make the benefits of creatine more readily available to athletes. Imagine the growing awareness of creatine's potential to enhance athletic performance, the increasing demand for a supplement that could be easily incorporated into an athlete's training regimen. The development of capsules and liquids was a response to this demand, a testament to the power of innovation and the relentless pursuit of better solutions. As the 20th century drew to a close, the landscape of creatine supplementation had transformed. The era of messy powders was giving way to the convenience of capsules and liquids, paving the way for even more innovative delivery methods in the years to come. And the years to come did indeed bring forth even more innovative delivery methods. Imagine the dawn of the 21st century, a time of rapid technological advancement, a time ripe for innovation in the field of sports nutrition. The quest for the ultimate creatine delivery system continued, driven by the desire for even greater convenience and efficacy. Picture researchers, driven by this quest, exploring new frontiers in formulation science. Imagine the meticulous work of food scientists, carefully experimenting with different textures and flavors, striving to create a creatine product that was not only effective, but also enjoyable to consume. Think of the countless hours spent in laboratories, meticulously measuring, mixing, and testing, driven by the vision of a truly revolutionary creatine supplement. And so, from this relentless pursuit of innovation, a new form of creatine emerged, the chewable creatine tablet. Imagine the first prototypes, small, chalky tablets, far from the refined products we know today. Picture the early attempts to mask the inherent bitterness of creatine, the experimentation with different sweeteners and flavorings, the slow, gradual improvement in taste and texture. Visualize the researchers patiently refining their formulations, tweaking the ratios of ingredients, adding binders and excipients to improve the chewability and stability of the tablets. Imagine the meticulous testing, the careful evaluation of flavor profiles, the relentless pursuit of the perfect balance of palatability and efficacy. The development of chewable creatine was a testament to the ingenuity of food science. Imagine the challenges of creating a tablet that was both chewable and stable, that could withstand the rigors of storage and transportation without crumbling or losing its potency. Picture the intricate manufacturing process, the precise control of temperature and pressure, the careful monitoring of every step to ensure consistent quality. Think of the early chewable creatine products, often with a gritty texture and a slightly bitter aftertaste. Imagine the gradual refinement of these early formulations, the introduction of new flavoring agents, the development of smoother, more palatable textures. Picture the slow, steady improvement in the sensory experience of consuming creatine. The arrival of chewable creatine marked a significant milestone in the evolution of creatine supplementation. No longer were athletes confined to the limitations of powders, capsules, or liquids. Imagine the freedom and convenience of simply popping a chewable tablet into your mouth anytime, anywhere. Picture athletes no longer needing to mix powders or swallow capsules, able to replenish their creatine stores quickly and easily. Think of the various flavors that emerged, from classic fruit flavors like orange and grape to more exotic options like watermelon and blue raspberry. Imagine the vibrant colors of these chewable tablets, the enticing aromas, the satisfyingly chewy texture. Picture the pleasure of consuming a creatine supplement that was not only effective, but also enjoyable. But the evolution of creatine supplementation didn't stop there. Imagine the ongoing research, the continued exploration of new delivery methods, the relentless pursuit of even greater convenience and efficacy. Picture scientists exploring the potential of effervescent creatine tablets, dissolving quickly in water to create a refreshing creatine-infused drink. Think of the development of creatine gummies, offering a fun and flavorful way to consume this essential supplement. Imagine the soft, chewy texture of these gummies, the burst of fruity flavor, the ease with which they can be incorporated into any athlete's daily routine. Visualize the research into micro-encapsulated creatine, tiny particles of creatine coated in a protective shell to enhance absorption and bioavailability. Imagine the potential of this technology to further revolutionize creatine supplementation, maximizing its effectiveness and minimizing any potential side effects. The future of creatine supplementation is bright, filled with the promise of even more innovative and convenient delivery methods. Imagine a world where creatine can be seamlessly integrated into a wide range of food and beverage products, making it easier than ever for athletes to reap its benefits. Picture a future where personalized creatine formulations, tailored to individual needs and preferences, become the norm. The journey of creatine supplementation, from its humble beginnings as a laboratory curiosity to its widespread use in the world of sports nutrition, is a testament to the power of scientific inquiry and the relentless pursuit of innovation. Imagine the long arc of this journey, the slow, steady accumulation of knowledge, the gradual refinement of formulations, the constant striving for better solutions. And as you drift off to sleep, let your mind wander through the vast landscape of creatine research, visualizing the countless scientists, researchers, and innovators who have contributed to its remarkable evolution. Let the gentle rhythm of scientific progress lull you into a deep and restful slumber